Okay, I have a quick announcement, and today we will have a very good day. It's the second day, and in the morning we will have a section of Peter. We are leading. The section is more the traditional ecological knowledges, and then the noontime, 11 o'clock, we will have a workshop on the fourth floor, 11 o'clock. So we will challenge you to separate you to tap. And I will host the other workshop, and it's demonstrate about teaching the ocean science sequence. As you can see, the lab is here, and that's we'll let you know what we are doing, and that's what Craig is doing for the past week. And the next at noontime, we will have a youth dialogue. It's also in the fourth floor, and that's the young. I encourage young people. If you are age lower than 65, you will be young people to join, and let's discuss about the ocean decay action and what we can do. And so noontime with 2 hours break, and then it's come back. That's 2 hours, and then the afternoon, Sylvia will leading the climate change and action dialogue, and that with the ocean intensive. And then at night we will go to the yesterday we do the fish painting. We will have video night, and Peter will show out the film. This very good film that about tsunami with the local community, and then we have the other with one is talking about Sylvia's speech will show out about the salmon problems, about the problem of our ecological crisis, and then after the screen, and we will have a conversation to discuss about what you can do after the screen discussion, and then we will finish, and so we offer dinner. So that's today. And if you see the cacao decoration, and please come down later and break time to sign your petition if you agree the 7th initiation. And this is very important because tomorrow afternoon we will have the cacao decoration in front of this hall. So here is a petition under the cacao decoration. So please sign Chinese and English. And also we have a history of the Ipmen. So please sign out leave some messages to if you have some memory or you find something interesting. And yeah, there's outside the poster and the background, and you can sign and leave some messages, and it's very good. So I hope you enjoy the second day. It's time to Peter, and Peter is from Ocean Network Canada, and he is also a producer and also the owner of Romer Studio, and he contribute a lot to connecting the local indigenous and community. He asked me about, hey, how many tribes in Kaohsiung? I said, for us, we cannot calculate how many tribes because Taiwan now we have 16 peoples, not a specific tribe because they separate everywhere, and we are very important about the Aboriginal how to respect. But we still discuss who should in charge of the business because Taiwan have the Council of Indigenous, and Ocean Affairs Council should in charge of that, or Indigenous Affairs Council in charge of that. That's pretty complicated to separate. If everyone separate, nothing can do. But what we can do, maybe after the discussion, we have some idea to do that. That's a bigger process. Welcome. The first keynote speech at Peter Roman. 老师，我们的时间其实是从昨天。昨天开始。
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Strand 2 session today of Advancing Ocean Science through Asia-Pacific Traditional Ecological Knowledge. And today we got a good lineup of presenters. So pretty excited about that in the TEK realm. Just quickly, just to go through this a little bit. Great, thanks. So we're gonna have growing ocean communities through dialogues, land and sea. What is collaborative governance with Natalie Davey. We're going to be exploring place-based indigenous STEAM education, TEK in the river fishing. We'll also be reconnecting people with the ocean, the role of WWF, Hong Kong's Hoi Marine Life Center. And then we'll have a tea break at 10:50 to 10:50, and then we'll continue on with Japan's fish eating culture and climate change, followed by 2 secrets of the ocean, Secrets of the Ocean, and then Walking Taiwan's Coastline, Immersive Journey to Promote Ocean Literacy and Marine Conservation, and then a survey of the relationship between humans and the ocean and what Taiwanese think depends on how Taiwanese feel about the ocean-related issues. Then integrating traditional knowledge and scientific research for sustainable coastal resilience in Bangladesh, and ending with traditional ecological knowledge in America Samoa. So yes, welcome. All right, so I'll get my keynote presentation together here. So advancing indigenous and ocean monitoring through partnerships. It's like as Ocean Networks Canada, as you'll find out, is a data powerhouse, and I'll go through that. And we work with over 40 communities, which I'll explain, and the importance of place-based knowledge and engaging in traditional territories. So before we get started, I just like to would like to acknowledge the respect that we are in the traditional territory of the Makatao tribe. Please correct me of how to pronounce that properly. I'm probably bastardizing that. Which the Cow Declaration is actually based off. There used to be here. What I've learned is there used to be a thick bamboo forest, and before the tribes were pushed out. And today it's kind of amalgamation of tribes in the region here of Kaohsiung, and again, forgive my pronunciation, but we like to recognize the Bunan, the Rukai, the Aroa, and the Kanakakan Avu. And if you know anything more information on those tribes, please let me know. But I encourage you to do your research and do your homework about these local tribes. I really stress in my presentations, you can't just Google something and think you know about the locals. You need to meet with the locals, and when you're doing projects, it's so important to have community-led projects, especially from the indigenous perspective. So I advocate all over the world for indigenous in ocean science because my passion started in a place called Ocean Obs 19, where we were invited. We put a 53 indigenous member delegation together from all the Pacific Islands as far as Saipan. And we had a town hall, but there was whispers about, oh, they're just here for the color, or those indigenous are just paid to be here, or there's no such thing as indigenous biologists, or indigenous aren't into business. And these are the things that we've had to deal with for quite a while. But in the last 5 years, myself, a few individuals like myself, Ken Paul and others, have really changed that. And I've seen a lot of change in the conferences. There's a lot of inclusion of presentations with indigenous. I encourage a 50-50 in such as AGU, all these major conferences around the world. But I'm going to talk a little bit about Ocean Networks Canada and the importance of sensors and teaming up with indigenous communities. First, I'll tell a little bit about myself. Hannah, can you get my notes back up on here? Just the notes part on the laptop here. So, as you heard, I'm the Indigenous Community Liaison. I'm also an ex-commercial fisherman. So I've been at Ocean Networks Canada for about 6 years now. Leading any Indigenous project comes through my desk. And thank you. And so my Frisian name is Peter Romer. My Niska name is Wa'asamgan, meaning wooden bowl. I come from the Niska Nation. Niska'a, we're people of the Nass River. We're salmon people. And we're known for our fish wheel, our Ulukan grease, and our modern day treaty. We own 24 square kilometers of our land, and we own the mineral rights. And we control our own lands through our fisheries and through our guardians. We control our waters, and we work with scientists all over the world in our territories. I was raised on a fish boat. I lived on this boat here This was in 1977. My father painted it orange, I guess the Dutch side of him. And since I was 6 months old till I was 19, I went to school living on this commercial fishing boat. So you could say I was raised on the ocean, and I met a lot of different characters over my time. My grandfather was a captain of a big ship, a 15,000-ton ship called My Lady. And of course, on my indigenous side, we come from a line of seafarers. So both sides come from seafarers, and you can say that the ocean is in my blood. So Ocean Networks Canada, we're an ocean data and technology powerhouse. We specialize in cabled observatories, which collect ocean data with instruments that can relay their data to the shore in real time over fiber optic cables. We call it the Internet Connected Ocean. And you can see all these regions here, the traditional territories that we're in, and that we always name the proper indigenous names of where we work. Our largest observatory is 800 kilometers long. It's the largest in the world. It ranges in depth of 23 meters to over 2,600 meters. And we work with the New Chalmers Nations on many expeditions up along this particular region. This observatory, this 800-kilometer observatory, we study sea mounts, earthquake sensors. We alert BC whenever there's an earthquake. And the New Chalmers, we have the New Chalmers right now naming those sea mounts. It's one of the many ways that we work with our nations. So Neptune spans many range of environments, from the wave-dominated coast to the gas venting sea floor. We call it Neptune, the observatory I just showed you. And we have 12,000 sensors that provide globally accessible live information on how the ocean is changing in real time, 24/7, 365 days in a year, which is available over the internet to anybody in the world through Oceans 3.0. We monitor everything that is possible in the ocean, even neutrinos from space. So you can see quite an array there of involvement in projects that we do. And you can see the different kind of types of sensors we do here. So we bring data to the surface, accelerating scientific discovery and delivering solutions that support ocean and planet sustainability for future generations. You can look at the array of those sensors, as I mentioned. We have not had the opportunity yet to support indigenous fisheries and agriculture, but that's something that we're working on right now. And so I'll get into a little bit later, but you'll see the underwater observatory that we have. We have sensors on ships, on ferries from shore that will study shipping, and the indigenous communities are very interested in this and use the power of data to their advantage. So it's a 50-50 for us. And all our agreements with indigenous communities are based on fair care principles and OCAP principles. And those agreements can be adapted, changed at any time. So if they don't want something public, they could tell us to turn it off, such as the hydrophone or underwater camera, whatever it may be. So at Ocean Networks Canada, we have over 37 Indigenous partnerships in various capacities in education and ocean monitoring. This fluctuates on a project-by-project basis. I have the great opportunity to go into Indigenous communities and ask them, how can we support you and in what capacity? We really believe in community-led projects and starting from the budget up, as opposed to it being dictated through from deadlines or a certain party. So it's always being on the same page as equals with our Indigenous communities. So on this map, we show locations of Ocean Networks Canada's 21 ocean monitoring projects, which are, as I mentioned, indigenous territories. In some cases, the monitoring systems are owned by the communities. For example, in Burrard Inlet, the observatory is owned by the Tsleil-Waututh, which is down on the far left there. We're actively working to respect Indigenous data sovereignty. ONC's data management system enables data attributions and restrictions to be associated with the data to indicate data ownership and protect sensitive data. For example, the Hartley Bay Coastal Community Observatory of the Gitgat First Nation co-owns the data, and we have restricted access, as I was talking about, to different sensors. So the observatory shown by the orange squares are fixed installations on the sea floor, which can host a variety of different sensors, which enable communities to monitor their local waters, for example, detect whales or measure changes in local ecosystems in real time. A lot of the Indigenous are very interested in AIS systems that track shipping. So if an industry or the government said, we only promise 100 ships coming through your territory, but you go, but my data says there's 200. So it gives the nations the power back to be able to say, we're worried about our whales. This is too much, and you can't dispute data. So it really works really well together for all our different projects. This photo is ONC working with the Inuit in Johaven, Nunavut, studying the impacts of sea ice melt. Again, that local knowledge, you can't buy that local knowledge, that local observation. So Indigenous have been on the front lines of marine observation since the beginning. Here in BC, we have carbon dated our history as far back as 13,500 years. Indigenous groups include some 307 million people. 5% of the global population depend on the ocean. But there are over 1,900 coastal Indigenous communities around the world, representing 27 million people across 87 countries. Based on the available data at local and regional levels, we estimate a total global yearly seafood consumption of 2.1 million metric tons by coastal Indigenous peoples, equal to around 2% of global yearly commercial fisheries catch. Results reflect on the crucial role of seafood in these communities. On average, consumption per capita is 15 times higher than the non-Indigenous country populations. These findings contribute to an urgently needed sense of scale to coastal Indigenous issues and will hopefully prompt increased recognition and directed research regarding the marine knowledge and resource needs of Indigenous peoples. Marine resources are crucial to the continued existence of coastal Indigenous peoples, and their needs must be explicitly incorporated into our management policies. So we also run a community fisher program. Right currently now, so on the far left is our director, and here she's working with some First Nations. And the community fisher program, they put something called a CTD in the water, where they can plot around in their community to study whatever species they are. So a CTD will cover salinity, depth, temperature, pressure, and pollution, and then so the communities are interested in building data, and through this is much cheaper than a full-on observatory. So yeah, high quality data is collected, and which contributes to more ocean science knowledge, and it goes into our data system, into our data management system of Ocean 3.0. And and so you can see here some of the teams working. This is a CTV. This device here, you drop it in the boat, drop it through the ice, and then you can get different plotting, temperature, salinity, chlorophyll, oxygen, and just from that. And so this is one of the projects that we support. And we're continuously growing. We grew from, just in the last couple of years, from 8 to 13. So here, so on the west coast of Canada, we have, as I mentioned, very strong fisheries and guardian programs. This is the Hulsick guardian boat. This is a typical boat that you'll see on our coast, and it's something that I hope will start to happen here on these coasts and other coasts around the world. Indigenous have been on the front lines 1,000 years, yet we're still the least engaged when it comes to these projects. So experiences and observations from living within the system have general ongoing local and traditional ecological knowledge systems, and Indigenous, which is localized for sustainable management strategies. So Indigenous are always working on these things, and sometimes instrumentation and stuff like that, we need to test different instrumentation, and who's better to do that than the locals who are already on those waters. They know firsthand the changes in climate change. They see it in the changes in the species, the impacts. You can't have scientists living on a shore that long to understand, to have that depth of experience. So they provide a better understanding of underlying patterns, and as I mentioned, can test the tools that reduce the monitoring costs and improve outcomes in marine systems. Ocean monitoring will improve ways of knowing and different priorities for a range of interest groups that are integrated into our science. So place-based knowledge is super important. You need to know the boots on the ground scenarios to know your data is on the right track. So you need to know the history. So we did it you'll watch later, the tsunami documentary, and how we incorporated traditional ecological knowledge into the science, and you need the two go together. If we just had one, we lean just to data and say, oh, we don't need to engage in the Indigenous, well, you're going to miss out the whole understanding of how did that community interact with that wave? What did they do? What did they see? You miss a whole half of the story of the data. So, and plus, there was this scientist who came up to me and said, I don't want to work with Indigenous. My colleagues don't, but I've been kind of listening to you. And so why should I work with Indigenous? And I just said, well, let me just break it down into numbers. I'll tell you very simply. Do you want to be invited back? Do you want to have complete data? Do you want to continue your research? Or if you don't even ask us, we won't even tell you that, say you're digging around over there in our territory without permission, and we just should we tell them that they're in the wrong spot? No, because they were totally disrespectful. Let's just let them keep digging, waste their money. Could have just told them it was right over here. Could have guided them. Could have helped with our boats. All kinds of things. But you wouldn't believe the ignorance that there is out there. So scientific and Indigenous monitoring methods complement each other because they can operate efficiently at different scales and with different focuses, both of which are needed for improved decision-making, environmental and resource governance. Science can provide a precise and quantitative evaluation of marine conditions and expectations and address larger spatial scales, example using remote sensing and remote monitoring. Science-based observing provides a methodology for systematic coverage of larger study areas outside of the socio-ecological system. These methods can determine how and why a certain species or ecosystem is changing and fluctuating, but they can be expensive and can miss key ecosystem interactions that are already understood at the local scales. Monitoring based on Indigenous knowledge systems fills in other gaps which science cannot. Indigenous methods are typically qualitative and relatively inexpensive, as the costs are shared with direct participation in the culture and use of the marine resources, as I mentioned. Indigenous knowledge systems have been gained through experience or shared traditions. Then subtle observation of change. They know the subtle observation of changes to migration routes are reacting to varying weather patterns, and this is best done by the holders of this knowledge. Again, I can't stress more with the locals. And Googling is not the way to find this information. Again, you have to meet the locals. So, Indigenous monitoring can generate reports of unusual events and occurrences instead of average patterns. For instance, Indigenous communities in the Arctic have observed increases in frequency of extreme and less predictable weather events, which is a sign of long-term ecosystem alteration. In a large geographical area where detailed data are needed, having many knowledgeable observers, the many eyes approach is an effective way of finding rare organisms, tracking changes in the species presence or abundance, tracking boom and bust cycles, among other ecologically relevant discoveries. And the Inuit have lost some people through the ice. The ice is getting unpredictable. They're having the biggest impacts in climate change right now, which is a threat to their food sources. So they're really interested in, data monitoring, right? I mean, it's obvious, right? These things. So these tools may include co-management, collaborative management, generated specifically for the social ecological systems and institutional frameworks of the Indigenous communities and shareholders, maintaining their vital role in understanding marine ecosystem values and the risks they face in the next decade and beyond. So coming changes and underlining benefits and costs of spatially and institutionally dependent ocean productivities will change how monitoring investments return benefits to communities. Local Indigenous communities must maintain at least joint decision-making power of the new knowledge produced. These changes must be integrated, must be anticipated and integrate a scientific and Indigenous framework that aims to include how knowledge from monitoring is to be acquired, taken up, acted upon, and used going forward. This is particularly important in regions where Indigenous territorial rights and governing autonomy are increasingly recognized, such as in Canada and New Zealand. To accomplish this, the Indigenous communities must be actively and comprehensively included in research and governance process as true partners. So the importance of place-based knowledge has a major role in science. And I'm sure many of you here have examples of that, have seen it on large or smaller scales. And I just want to encourage you guys to keep up the good work and just say hello, be a person to your local Indigenous. Introduce yourselves, get to know each other. You can't start a project by parachuting in and out of a community with a PowerPoint and saying I consulted. You can't. We're tired of being an anecdotal story or finding out that our knowledge is in a report somewhere or we're in some magazine. The true way to work with Indigenous communities is really starting from the budget up. So you're both on the same playing field as equals. You know each other's roles. If you're working with larger groups, set up advisory groups or even create a subcommittee to choose the people to talk to the nations, and then the nations will allow you who their representatives are to be at the advisory group meetings, and because they'll trust their person, and then listen. Just keep your ears open and don't go in with an ego and saying you think you know it all and stuff. Absorb the information, and it's common sense. You're not going to dig in your grandma's garden without asking her permission. You're not going to start pulling her roses without asking permission, and you're not going to throw some scientific jargon at your grandma. You're going to just be a person and sit down, have some tea, and this is how we can work together. Thank you. So up next, we have Natalie Davey with her amazing presentation.
Thank you, Peter. You're a hard act to follow. That's just amazing, and it's actually a wonderful inspiration for people like myself from Australia who are living on a rather extraordinary continent. That people have lived on for over 60,000 years. I'm kind of representing the colonial arm, but my practice is to decolonialise my mind, and I've been fortunate in many of the projects I've been a part of that these the practice of how we do things and how we come to decisions, how we work with communities, all communities, but particularly I've learned a lot from Indigenous communities, and particularly the fact of shut up and listen. And particularly for someone like me that can ramble on. So I've learned a lot. And through listening, that's informed an idea that's kind of slowly grown in my mind around, well, I'm calling it collaborative governance. It's a term that's broadly used, but I'm going to explore it through our own experiences in different projects. And also, I'm very interested in the discursive aspects of projects, in that often you can go in with ideas, but it's through actually working and having conversations both on land and sea that you'll often, things change, and what you went in initially for is informed by what happens through the listening on country. And I should introduce myself. My name is Natalie Davey. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. Also, I live on Boonwurrung country, the land of the Yalukut Willem, which means broadly people of the waterways. And where I live is a reclaimed swamp. I might go into that later, or a wetland, I should call it. Swamp has kind of negative connotations. And just before I start, I just want to pay my respects. I've got a bit of a list here. I also was looking for who traditionally came from Kaohsiung. And the nations that are here are very, I think, the same as what Peter said, but also I'm interested if anyone has more knowledge. The Banyan, Rukai, Saraoa, and Kanakan Ayu. And I probably pronounced them wrong, so love to be corrected and learn more. This is my second time in Taiwan, and I also want to thank all the hardworking people who brought us together to share ocean knowledge and experiences in education and learning. And I actually came to Taiwan through the Ipmen conference in 2018, so I'm very fortunate. This is my second time. And when I did, I shared just about one project, which is about building and managing Pelican One under the not-for-profit we set up called Saltwater Projects. And the reason I shared that story was because I was actually standing in the country of the people who had inspired the vision for the vessel that we eventually built, which was a two-hulled sailing catamaran, but the hulls were designed in the way of the traditional Austronesian travellers that travelled from Taiwan and went all the way across to Madagascar and then all the way through the Pacific. And that, a lot of the knowledge of those journeys, which the local people and Indigenous people would have known, is only really been coming to light as well through linguists and archaeologists discovering the roots of the language that is common across all of the Pacific amongst these people. So I want to thank the people here for the inspiration they give, and also just the bravery and courage of such journeys. I thought of them all the time we were out on the oceans, and you just think, wow, we've got GPS and all these beeping instruments, and they just went out into the unknown. And I also just want to thank briefly the Ocean Affairs Council, National Academy of Marine Research, and the National Sun Yat-sen uni that we're in today, and EMEA. Thanks for the support of the conference today. So, as I was saying, I'm just going to look at 4 projects that I've been fortunate to be part of and help build. And just a key point about them, one of them was building a boat. So when you're building a boat, we'd never built one before. So we had to develop a way of working together that was pretty collaborative, because all of us were a bit like, not quite like those sailors sailing into the unknown, but for us it was a bit sailing into the unknown. So we developed a really consensus-based way of working. And what I learned through that was, if you have a strong team, someone is always going to keep going. So even if you're reaching a point in a project where you're going, oh, this is impossible, we haven't got the money, there's always someone that's got a thought, and then you all journey together with that. So a big thing I'd say about any project is a strong team is just so essential. I can't tell you how many times, I could lean on someone or they leant on me. And particularly sometimes the way we talk to one another, people can misinterpret what you say. It's good that everyone is listening deeply and can often correct things to keep everyone together. So the other aspect is, we grew out of a place. We grew out of a group of people who got together and thought of an idea, who were very interested in connecting also with local communities, including Indigenous communities. So I am very passionate about place-based interpretive projects that have been co-designed and are given enough time to become part of the local social ecosystem, building trust and continuity. So one common thread through all those projects is they took place over time. So the building the boat took 6 years, it was meant to take 3, so that's quite a long time. And that kind of built our group. Then once we built it, we had to work out, oh my God, what are we going to do? So we began designing, actually while we were building, we were planning, but we started actually with the Hopevale Pelican Project, and that started on almost like a conversation. We had a letter from an Indigenous community who had seen our sea work with kids and wrote to us. Now that began a 15-year project. So annually we would sail up to Hopevale, and that project was managed by direct conversations that happened over the year, and we kind of formed I'd say a mixture of like having a boat which becomes almost like the platform for those conversations, but also the project and all the work we did with scientists, with the Aboriginal community, the Gugu Yimitia, and also the Cooktown community was done through conversations. And all the people that talked to us became part of the design of the project. So that meant that it grew out of that place, as much as we could come in with some ideas that we had, but then it would be worked with the local people. And every year they would have ideas, there'd be things they were interested in, either areas of sea country they wanted to visit. So I better keep going forward. And then the Two Bays project was based in our hometown in Melbourne. And we're fortunate to have 2 beautiful big bays, Naarm, Port Phillip and Western Port. And the idea behind that was that we would come annually and sail around both bays and connect with the different points. I could have gone on that while I talked. That's the crew. That's not all the builders, but that's just going back to the building. There's Gaza, who's the captain. He was a filmmaker. He turned into being a captain, and myself, and we had a wonderful series of people that were crew. And often our crew were sometimes more highly trained than me, particularly in marine science. And I would include people like Harry Bridle, who I met through going to try and get support from Parks Victoria, and I met Harry. Now that started as a conversation, like, wow, what are you doing? Oh, we'll just build a boat. That conversation led to 15 years of work, which developed into working with schools all over Port Phillip Bay and Western Port. And what we did was we would go to the schools during the year and say, well, what are you studying? How can we work with your curriculum? And then we would bring ideas. So we would bring people on board to share knowledge, like other scientists, Aboriginal elders. And I just think this collaborative process, it means that the more you open up to other people, the more your project is going to shine, because everyone has something to contribute. And I think the governance side is just the decisions you make as to how to do that. And how to ensure all those voices are heard. So 2Bays over 15 years became a kind of like a big octopus that came alive once a year. And of course, building respect and partnership with Indigenous leadership was a big aspect of that. So working with local elders, like Nawi Carolyn Briggs, who's a Boonwurrung elder. Very fortunate to have an amazing relationship with her, and I think she's been a big reason my brain's so decolonised, because I've hung out so often with her. And she told some amazing, also deep time stories, which I'd love to go into here, which marine science is just catching up with. So that's another example, and it's really classic in Australia. You know, there's areas that were flooded out, and the local Indigenous people would say, hey, don't build there. You know, you're going to drown. And then people would drown because, of course, the local colonial people wouldn't listen to that knowledge. So traditional knowledge or place-based knowledge or deep time knowledge is essential for, particularly as an Australian, for understanding and connecting with our country and learning how to work with it. And this is even more important during times of climate change. It's becoming even more extraordinarily important, particularly around resilience and how we respond to the increasing disasters that all our countries are experiencing with the Earth heating up. So that's just a little portrait. I'll just show it for 5 minutes, but that's kind of an idea of how 2Bays ran. So we have a whole range of events. Lots of them were working with schools, so the kids would have a day out. We were working with the principals. Again, I just want to stress, Ipmen was one of my universities. It was coming to the first one in 2008 that I learned about ocean literacy, and it helped me sort of formalise what we were going to teach the kids in a day at sea. And often we'd choose one of the principles that connected most with the themes, for example, like sustainability, that the school was working with the kids on those days. And again, just in terms of leadership, that's Nawi Carolyn Briggs. You know, it's kind of magic when you really work closely with people. Like, I'm not quite sure how we managed to do all the things we did in the time we had the vessel, but it was through this combined energy. And I think collaborative governance means that you're open to those collaborations. They don't happen if you just go, you know, we want this. They happen because you're open and people come in and contribute in amazing ways. I just included that photo there. That was an elder from Arakoon who was actually reading a book by Donald Thompson, who was an archaeologist who came to this area in sort of after the First World War, I think, and wrote about his people and used one of their navigators to travel around Australia at that time. So again, just in this case, it's quite interesting. We have the one ocean, many nations. In this case, many nations represents all the many nations we worked with on the Cape, Aboriginal nations. And look, so that was one project that lasted for me 20 years, and that's where I learned all about the importance of collaborative governance and how that can inform the way you build projects over time. My last position was with the Yalukit-Willam Nature Association, which was very home-based, so very close to me. I was involved as president of a nature group. I wasn't involved in all the lobbying, but it was the local community that got together, saw an old golf course and said, why don't we turn that back into a wetland, as it was. So that project is still ongoing. I was involved as president for 5 years, but I've left because I've gone to work up north on another project. But again, it was based, it was slightly more structured, so it was based as an association. It's quite interesting hearing, I learned only this year from Harry, or just recently, that it was Craig's idea, Craig Strang, when Ipmen people first got together, was to keep an informal structure as a governance structure rather than formalising it as an association. So for me, this was my first time of working within an association structure where you had to do certain things legally. But at the same time, it was set up as a collaborative framework. And a big thing I'm passionate about is, well, how do you, if you want to involve everyone in decisions around how you're managing land and sea country, how do you do that with people that maybe haven't had experiences? And that's where a lot of you mentioned about ocean literacy is not just for children, it's for adults. And one way to engage adults and children, but particularly sometimes adults, is in citizen science projects. So we also ran through the Yalukit-Willam every month. We'd be doing bird surveys, water quality surveys, insect surveys, and also, oh yes, and we had our own nursery. So we were growing Indigenous plants for that area. So all that hands-on learning by community, thank you, was really important in engaging the community with the project, understanding how important wetlands are, because they were actually growing the plants, understanding them better, and then also planting them. So they were gaining ownership of that space. We were also very fortunate that Nawi Carolyn Briggs, the traditional owner for this country, came on as patron and played a big role also in educating that local community about her country. And also I worked a lot with her and council, because we had to deal with that governance structure, which was often, that was another, that's a long story about how we built that partnership. But again, it was through collaborative governance, coming together, talking, building a structure that we were all happy of working with and coming up with a partnership plan. So I'm just going to throw the challenges up. They're all obvious about the challenges of working collaboratively, but it's terribly important to be aware of that. And I think we, through our working processes, managed to work through a lot of issues, particularly conflict resolution. That happened at different levels at different times. And again, at least so far, I feel like we've managed through that, listening and being respectful and paying attention. And there was always someone in the room, and that's the wonderful thing of working about groups, who could see and pinpoint the problem and often solve the conflict even before it starts. I'll just quickly go in that many of the ocean literacy principles actually feed into the models that we develop for collaborative work. So as I've only got another minute or so, I just want to end on the fact that Ipmen itself is a collaborative platform. And that's what's the beauty of us all meeting every couple of years, because I have learned so much through having this as a space to meet with people doing very different work often, but there's also so much commonality. But I've gained a lot of insights that have enabled me to do the kind of work that we've done over the past 20 years. And at the moment, I've moved to this country here. So I'm now up in Kabi country in southeast Queensland, and my next job is managing an 800-acre restored cattle farm that's turning into a nature refuge. So it's actually my mum started it 30 years ago, spent 10 years talking about governance. She spent 10 years going through getting an act of parliament to ensure this place will never be built, that it will remain as a refuge. So, and it's, yeah, so I'm very excited to move on there, and that will become a collaborative platform to bring people on board. And we're already doing citizen science and working with other stakeholders, and planting lots of trees and putting koalas on them. So yeah, so thank you all for listening, and yeah, I think we're blessed with a great community with Ipmen. So yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Natalie. And up next, we have Lin Xian Tang. Again, by pronunciations. Professor Xian's Music University School Industry Community Music Lab is committed to education for sustainable development by integrating formal and informal education and linking ecological protection, cultural development, and business industrial partnerships in local, rural, indigenous, and international communities. Please welcome Lynn.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tony Chen. You can call me Lizzie. I'm from the National Sunshine University in Taiwan. I am a PhD student. Today, I'm going to share our project on indigenous integrated traditional ecological knowledge, or TEK, into indigenous STEAM education through the example of Amis river fishing culture. Okay. In the face of ecological and climate crisis, STEAM education must connect deeply with local cultures and sustainability barriers. TEK offers profound insight they are inherently place-based and cultures grounded. TK refers to knowledge, practice, and beliefs passed down through generations about how to use natural resource sustainability. Indigenous knowledge system encompass ecological wisdom, values, and technology accumulated through long-term environment distinguish. Place-basic education confuses learning within the student's own social ecological context. This approach helps bridge indigenous knowledge and STEAM education, cultivating a deeper understanding of both. Taiwan is home to 20 indigenous groups. Our projects collaborate with Amis, elders, and schools in eastern Taiwan. We expose traditional fish knowledge and the names of freshwater fish in the Shoguran rivers from upstream to coast. In total, we've identified 25 freshwater fish species along the river, each with its Amis name and ecological context, and have upstream fish and midstream fish and migration fish, and estuary fish. They are the Taiwan's fish. One of the highlight is the traditional blowfish vessel. It's a special fish. In winter, the people building water channel with a control slow to pick proud fish into leaping, only to be caught in a choo-choo trap like this. This is a choo-choo. Yes. I will show you a video. You can see the vessel.
到目前我所知道，在部落里面大概只有3个人会做这样的渔法，几乎是在部落来讲快要已经叫那个灭绝了。我在国小的时候，我还看到阿公渡河，然后就背着那个小鱼这样回家，然后我们就跑去看他在做什么，因为那时候的印象说，哦，他在做抓鱼的，我们只知道说，哦，这是抓鱼的东西。没有特别去留意，然后就到了我爸爸，怎么也在做这个东西？这样，就特别爸就会特别把我们那时候20几岁了，就带我们去看，开始会问，为什么要放这个？为什么要放那个？哦，他开始慢慢讲解，概念就有了。
跟大家介绍这一只日本漂鳍虾虎，那这只过往都是叫做日本托罗沙，它的繁殖形态是在溪流里面会找个石块挖穴洞，然后把卵产在石块的下缘，孵出来苗是浮游性的幼苗。那我们流动性的水就会把这些浮游性的幼苗带到我们的海洋河口地区，所以它的幼生完全要在海里面，它幼苗要在海里面成长5个月左右。它才会开始回溯到溪流里面。我们后续也知道它也会变态。所谓变态是怎么样呢？就是说它在海里面的形态跟溪流里面的形态完全不同。一开始的形态是有点透明的，只要进到溪流淡水，身体颜色慢慢会有花纹显现出来。第二个，大家可以发现为什么它在海里面尾巴是分叉，在溪流里面是圆的呢？你只要看到尾巴圆的，都那属于那种泳力比较差，是属于底栖型的。因为它成熟个体进到溪流里面就变成是底栖的，所以它特化成变成尾的，有利于它底栖形式的生活。但是它在海洋里面是在中表层，它需要有比较多的泳力跟去移动，可能去摄食浮游这一种动物为主。还有它的嘴巴，它在溪流里面是吃藻类的，它嘴巴总不能在前方，它就吃东西就很不，它整个头要整个90度弯下来去刮藻，当然不方便，所以它的嘴巴会变成在下位。但是在海里面呢，它的嘴巴是在端位的。所谓端位是它的嘴巴的上缘、上颚跟下颚是齐平的，有利于它在捕食全方，因为它浮游在表层全方的这种浮游动物。那第3点就是食性的改变，它在海里面是什么？吃荤的，在溪流里面吃素的哦，这真的是还蛮大的改变，也这是蛮特别的一只鱼。
我爸爸还在的时候，那时候我们都出社会，然后就交给我的表弟。那我爸爸特别交代我表弟说，你学会之后呢，一定要交给我的儿子。那也还好，我弟弟也回乡了。就在那个时候，他们在3年前也做过一次把不绕的一个陷阱。
小心的手，小心的手，哇，是，小心把浮掉。有呢，我前面一点。
今天我们会挑这个位置的原因，我们这样看，对面的水流是往那边走，可能是捕捞小鱼啊， 从那边过，他可能要选择这个岸边，这个岸边这边上来，这距离比较大。因为那一边你这样看有没有水流，它撞那个山壁以后，那个小鱼的体型小，它没办法上去，它需要靠这个岸边。当然了，那边也会有上去的几率，但比较小。我们这边比如说那边20%，这边是80%是走这边，这样子。大致上我们会架设在这边的原因在这边，所以我们等一下会先把大石头移开，让那些小鱼啊速速的爬上来，然后进入我们的陷阱里面。
比较方便，是有传统领域，他又跳不过去。那我的角度应该是这样。你们看一下哦，它怎么叠？来，
下去了。
小心踩，走路要看。
大某，你那个不行哦，不合格。
铁板是要铺成那个水沟渠用的，因为这个不知道有没有进来的时候，那个老人家会坐在这里去看，他会这样会游上去，而且从现在开始做，不会马上就有鱼。它要透过大概3天左右，它有点开始长金胎了，鱼才开始进来。来，小朋友给我。所以这个是我们讲的矩形的陷阱一口，矩形的陷阱一口，完全靠这个去抓这个鱼，让它诱导进来，进去就出不来，它就顺着它流下去，就到网里面，就这样，那个，因为下礼拜那个阿公
水的落差也。
我们要去的东西，如果我们连生活都不知道怎么过，我们如何谈传承这件事情？
所以看天气冷，这个捕捞不会上来，要热，天气热它就会开始进来，怎么样冲上去了？它如果它失败会滑下来，又再冲一次。
好厉害哦！
对，它慢慢游上去，它用吸盘好进去了。
那你们刚刚看到的，可以趴在那个白色的盘子上掉下去的是这一只吗？小的吗？小只，这么小？对，差不多。大概这么小。OK。你有很惊讶他们是怎么掉进去的吗？有。好，那我要請你们看一下为什么它有办法在那个白色盘子上，然后粘住，然后掉进陷阱？
它下面有吸盘。
好，你看一下，你可以看到它的吸盘吗？
有。
还好有阿贵他爸爸有心教我这个功法，我也没想到说会有断层这个东西。因为我们的族人，年轻一代的年轻人都在外工作，如果要传承这些功法，可能也需要说，看他们有没有时间来教育他们说怎么去捕捉，这是我唯一就是想要的，能够传承的，再继续把它传承下去。
有没有？我们到岸边来看，走，小心走。我认为这样的捕鱼法，其实看人有没有心啊。如果部落的人都没有心的时候，我觉得这东西就不见了。如果他有心的时候，他会去询问，你把捕捞是怎么做的？那部落里面会有1-2个我们讲的早期我们讲的有一种傻瓜，叫做为文化传承的傻瓜，他会坚持在那一块。我就坚持把捕捞是我很喜欢做的，那个我觉得是要看人有没有那个心。那伊那 好啦，马拉好多，哎，马拉好多，马拉好多。
Through the conference, we made the display, Asian display bars with the ideals, and the display bars include the fishing, species, and scientists illustration and traditional tools and the games. Students from the upstream, midstream, and the coastal schools particularly. Students were training as the boat brought the mobile expression to other school and the community. And in the MBA. They learn about the species migration, ecosystem, interdependence, and the local knowledge. Through this, students gain not only science and ecological and literature, but also a deeper comprehension to place and identity. We hope to expand the work by training more teachers, developing community strength and indigenous partnership. To conclude, I'd like to learn one key question. How can TK and modern science complement each other in education? We are inspired by the mechanism concept of two eyes seeing. One eye sees indigenous knowledge, the other eye sees Western science. Together, they allow us to better understanding and address today's ecological challenges. Thank you, and Q&A welcome.
Thank you, Song. And I love how she said IKS, our traditional ecological systems. Actually, you saw from the Mi'kmaq, from Marshall there too, I'd seen, but also the whole Squay Nation taught me about it has to be traditional ecological systems, because you can't put on one person traditional ecological knowledge on a knowledge holder, because it's based off systems that they're talking about. And you saw some really amazing examples there. So up next, we have Augustine Chung, and to reconnect humanity with the ocean.
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. I'm Augustine Chung from WWF Hong Kong. So today we'll share some of the marine education program in Hong Kong, and especially in our Hoi Ha Marine Life Center. So before I talk about the programs, just a quick introduction about WWF. We are the International Conservation Organization. So we have different offices across the global, and then Hong Kong is one of the offices, and we are trying to build up the environment that humans can live harmony with nature. So live harmony with nature means we need to connect with the nature, right? So I don't know how much people here have been to Hong Kong before. Maybe your perception of Hong Kong is concrete forests. There are lots of buildings. So I wanted to show some of the photos about how Hong Kong people connecting with the nature or the oceans, but it's quite hard to find it. So I asked for AI's help. So I typed some prompts in AI, and then it just showed this kind of image. So my prompt is like, give me a picture to explain the relationship between Hong Kong people and the ocean, and a beautiful Victoria Harbour, and also people just sitting next to the sea, and enjoy their picnics with lots of the single-use plastic, right? So, and no wildlife. So this is what AI is understanding Hong Kong people and the ocean. So, but I don't actually agree with that, right? So I think this is Hong Kong, actually. We have a beautiful ocean. We have lots of coral communities under the sea. We have mangrove forests. So we are surrounded by the sea. But right now, the Hong Kong people is always focusing on business, on their works, and is quite isolated with the ocean. And our works is to reconnect them back to the ocean. So, but it's quite difficult because not all the Hong Kong people can do diving. Even they are not familiar with swimming. So how we can connecting back to the ocean? In 2003, actually, our center is built in the Hoi Ha Wan Marine Park. Marine Park is one of a kind of the marine protected area in Hong Kong. So we built it on top of the sea, and is the only marine education center in Hong Kong, which built on top of the sea and within the marine protected area. And then we can provide lots of marine education programs to publics. So the numbers I don't mention right now. So another important tools is our glass bottom boats. We have a boat actually imported from Australia. Yeah, there are lots of it in Australia, right? So we have one, and then it actually can accommodate over around 36 people. So oftenly we will bring the students on the boats, and then they can easily to observe the underwater environment without getting wet or getting into the water. And in 2022, we start another project. Is the coral nursery facilities enhancement. So we partner with the university in Hong Kong, the Chinese university, and then we sign an MOU and we start our coral restoration program. Because we have already designated some of the areas as a marine protected area, but the marine life is still in a very low biodiversity. So we wanted to proactively conserve the places. So we try to set up more facilities for the restoration. So we have tanks here, we have corals, we have a team. Even I think it's quite bi-weekly. They go out to do the coral monitoring and collect some of the coral fragments back to the lab, and then we stick on something, and then we call it coral cookies. I will mention later, and then put it in the tank, and then until they are healthier, and then we will put it back to the ocean. And this kind of facility help us to create more environmental education program. So right now I'll mention more about the school one. So we target the primary and secondary schools in Hong Kong, each age around 6 years old to 17. So we connect with the school curriculum in Hong Kong, but right now just let you know that actually there is no school curriculum connecting with the ocean literacy. Still in environmental education or sustainability education right now. So we have science training, we have some lab training for them. We do bring them out to the close and then to do some field-based learning. And also we have some STEM workshop. This photo on my left-hand side, yes, is about the STEM workshop. We use the tools to let the students build up their own coral nursery tanks. But we won't actually put the corals inside their tanks because it might harm the corals, right? So use this kind of method, the students will know the environmental factors that may harm or may benefit the corals. Is a kind of new program that we did in Hong Kong. So this is some of the pre and post questionnaire. In the previous, we mainly measured the knowledge change and also attitude change, but this is in 2022 to 2023. Yeah, we are right now In the past, we see definitely they have some attitude change after the programs, after a 3 to 4 hours program, and then we know that actually it's not cover all the things. So we are right now doing some enhancement on the evaluation. Also, we know that knowledge training is not the only way to educate the people. So in 2021, we start another program. It's quite new to Hong Kong. Is using the affective learning approaches. We mainly engaging the young people. Maybe there are some of them are university students or young adults. We invite them to join us for 6 to 9 months program. We try to build more opportunity for them to experience the nature. And we are focusing on how they connect with the nature. So we put some of the elements in this project. So we hope that they can enjoy the environment and they have enhancing their human well-being. So we partner with some university with using the elements of positive psychology and also use the concept of the nature connectedness. And right now we are still doing the evaluation process, and then we use the NR6 scale to evaluate their nature connectedness, but still doing the analysis, so I can't share the data right now. And then for the public, this one is quite a long-term education program. But for a short-term one, we try to use the corals restoration project to build up some connection with the people and the ocean. So we use this one, the cookies. Yeah, what is the cookies? Actually, when we collect the coral fragment, we need to stick it on a plate. This plate is actually made by some concrete, and it is totally plain. It's no color. So then we ask the students, ask some of the participants to draw their own coral cookies, and then they will give it to us. We will treat it, and then we will use it for the restoration program. So we try to do some kind of this kind of activities to relay them back to the ocean. So we do have some teacher workshops right now. So we're offering some workshop for the teachers to come, and we will update the latest information about the coral conservation, and also we will share some of the teaching materials with them. That photo show that actually there are some teachers doing something. They're helping us to experience how they stick the coral on the coral cookies. Yeah, it's quite unique experience. And then another one I want to show you. I just have one. And I think I don't have time to play with you. We developed a kind of board game, a coral restoration board game for the students. So it actually designed by the youth that they joined the Flow project. And then we co-create with them, and we modify some of the rules, and then we make this kind of board game as an education tool. But we just have Chinese, sorry about that. So if Taiwan people, you want to try it, maybe we can talk to you later. Yeah. So lastly, I would like to mention more about how we engage in the diving industry, because the pandemic actually changed something, and then Hong Kong people, they can't go out, they can't travel to any places, so they wanted to experience something within Hong Kong. So we know that the number of divers is increasing during the pandemic. So and there are lots of inexperienced divers right now. So it's create a serious problem to the corals, because they might kick the corals, they might damage the corals. So, and we noticed that actually we have no regulation on scuba diving in Hong Kong. So we want to try to do something on it. So first of all, we do some researches on the diver. So we send out some questionnaire to the divers, and then we got quite a positive response. And then most of the interviewees mentioned that they start diving in Hong Kong in the past 5 years. So they are quite new. And then most of them are young people. so that we know that where are they or who are they, and then we try to sort of where is the places. So we also ask them their famous diving sites in Hong Kong, and then Hoi Ha Wan is one of them, and then another one is Sharp Island. Yeah, it's also a UNESCO site, but it's without protection actually right now. So the criteria they mentioned that they want to choose this kind of places is because of the high coral coverage and also the stable water current. Yeah. And then we do some research on the diving course. And then I think it's quite obviously to see that lots of the people think that the diving course, they don't include the marine conservation knowledge and also marine ecology knowledge. And then most of the instructors actually willing to help. They wanted to teach the marine ecology, and then but no one know about it. So we start to engage the diving industry. We do some co-creation workshop with instructor, with the diving company boss, and also we also develop some of the beginner course for the divers. And the last we made a code of conduct of diving. So this is the end product, is the code of conduct. So I bring some here. This one, this is the dive instructor card, and then we mentioned some of the regulations here, and then also actually this card is the same size with the PADI trainer's card. So the instructor, they just need to attach this kind of cards and to their instructor pack, and then they can use it easily. And then also we think that there actually is no hand signal in the water to remind you to mind your fins. So we co-create with the dive instructors, and then we develop this. This is the hand signal of Hong Kong in the water. Mind your fins. Yeah, stay away from the corals. So this is what we have done in Hong Kong, and then try to use some of the behavioral science. We want to make the concept as clear as possible, and then we want to make our tools become useful, and then it's easy for the instructor to use. So they don't, we won't just produce it and then just put it here and waste it. So, and another one is we try to create some of the trendy products. We have a mask stripe designed by our interns. And then we try to, we have create some of the videos to become more energetic, and then we try to promote that the mind your fins is a quite important message in water, and it's a quite chill or professional vibe when you join diving. And then another one is we know that Sharp Island is the most popular training ground of divers in Hong Kong. So we engage the divers and do some citizen science here, and then we do the mapping, and then we also invite the instructor come here and to see which places we have corals. So don't do the instructor don't do the beginner course there. So you won't harm the corals. You go to the sandy beach area, bottom area. You can let the student crash the ground, but don't crash the corals. Yes. So I think that's all of my presentation about the projects, and then our next steps. We will try to mainstream the nature connectedness in our programs, not only the programs, but also the M&E, the monitoring and evaluation. And then another one is the whole organization is trying to use the behavioral science, integrate in our conservation and education projects. And the last one is quite tricky. That actually the new generation is driven by IG, actually. So it's not easy to ask the students come and to learn something, or ask the public to come to our center and learn something. So we need to build some scene for them to take pictures and post on their IG social media channel, and then to attract them come here. and try to build the connection in other way. Not only they know the ocean is important, but they enjoy the ocean, they appreciate the ocean's beauty. So this is all of my presentation, and thank you all of you. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask me or my colleagues. Karen is also here. So in the break, you can also grab us, and then we can share more about our works. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Augustine.
So next week we invite all the session speakers come to the stage, please. And next is the discussion time for last till 10:40, and please feel free to ask the questions.
I have a question and a comment. I really appreciate the theme that I heard involve local people, importance of learning about place, and letting people through their eyes see the world as part of them. I do have a question for Peter, so you can't get off. I've had a lot of work in ocean observation systems, and there's 140 countries involved in a global network. I was amazed when I learned about your program, and I wondered how many of the other 140 countries with ocean observation systems involve indigenous people. Are there any? Or are you one of the few?
It's a good question, and I can't think of many others. You know, this is Canada's got a long way to go in Canada, but Canada's leading in this area. We've engaged with the Hawaiians, and we've gained with other American tribes. We've encouraged NOAA to engage more with Indigenous, and we seem to get a little bit of pushback. But conferences like this, you know, as I mentioned, Indigenous weren't invited to some of the conferences to speak on these projects that Canada is leading in a different observation using sensors and different technology. And some of it is happening on smaller scales still in the States and other parts of the world and in kind of microcosms, but not on large scales quite yet, is my understanding. But I hope to be corrected on that, because I want to be corrected on that, because then I know that it's growing around the world. But we're leading examples, especially on the west coast of Canada. We're growing on the east coast of Canada. We're growing in the north. We have different rights. Indigenous have fought very hard for their rights. We have fishery rights. We have guardian rights. We have jurisdiction of our territories. We have some nations have treaties, so we have our own countries that we control within. And it surprises me the lack of engagement around the world.
Just with that, Australia has a project called IMOS, the Integrated Marine Observing System. It's basically based all around, and it's state-run, but they all work together. But yeah, there's no deep integrated connection with the communities of where the marine ops are. So yeah, and I've actually just become on the community panel there, so be something to push for. But there is local engagement through ranger programs. So Australia has IPAs and Indigenous ranger programs that are run through communities, and there's some science obs from that where they go out and observe, but it's not tied in like the Canadians have into a really unique integrated system.
Well, I have a question for Tom. I really liked your presentation. Can she understand me at all? Yeah, maybe somebody can interpret that. Okay, yeah, I appreciated your presentation. And, you know, Peter noticed that it's not, it's traditional systems, you know, not just knowledge. And I was just wondering, does Taiwan allow home-based education rather than bringing the teachers to teach the teachers how to be traditional knowledge, but just allowing the students to be taught by their own elders and not having to go into the classroom?
Team partner is with Thai people.
You can answer your question. Hello, my name is Yu. I'm from Rukai tribe, and then I'm a partner with Tone. And our research team now we are doing for many explain simply, we have 16 indigenous tribes in Taiwan now, and our group now we already create and co-op with Rukai tribe, Zhou tribe, Amis tribe, and the Lani tribe now has 4 indigenous tribes, and now we work with the elementary school mainly, and then we also design as you can see Tone present the box Asian discipline box. Yeah. Then we create a box and then also design a curriculum and work with the teacher. So our research team how we work with we go visiting the indigenous people and they do field work in advance and they design all the and build up all the knowledge and information together and work with the teacher. So this is how we build up the indigenous knowledge class with local indigenous people. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think it's very exciting that we have 4 nations represented sit here talking about the same thing from Canada, Australia, Taiwan, and even anywhere Hong Kong and people's representatives sit here to talk about what we are doing but everything connect together. Especially the issue is how to initiate social science and nature science. And actually it's as the keynote speech from Peters and we done Ocean 3.0. Last time Joanne want to share about the importance of 3.0. What is mean about 3.0 is mean progress, right? We learn and progress to build up a system, and I'm really impressed about Canada. They build up the system, not only scientists. So I share to our colleague of scientists or oceanographers, and we care about what we collect data, and then like Sylvia said, and how about the local people? We have some cats that then they build up the system or radars or the buoy in their territory. So exciting that we have technology, kids so exciting, and then they just borrow their territory and you cannot go in. And this is the scientific territory. So I think it's very important that how to initiate the territory or the community to connect the marine science and the feedback to their lands, and then really benefit for them is not taking out to the foreigners or even we go there to teach them. No, they need to learn themselves. We need to learn from them. So yeah, maybe you can do some comment. Thank you.
Yes, it's building that trust, building those relationships, to break down those barriers and to work with each other. I'm always amazed at how lack of projects there are at the local level, and in the institutions of the schools, it's not as encouraged. We need more rays. We need more of us. And all of you're here. You're the messengers to share the knowledge that's shared here today. And here we have the Takao Declaration. I encourage all of you to sign that. We need to encourage our NGOs, our governments, organizations that control the paradigm to start changing the narrative, so we can have more inclusion. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to get the same data. We're all trying to get the same science. There really shouldn't be any walls up. So, we have to work together to create a better Earth. Tea time.
Thank you. And let me show announcement. Okay, I will give you a very short announcement that we keep more discussion outside. And I will send you the email about yesterday we visiting the Minister Guam, and she actually posts Facebook and that appreciate what you are doing. She will be here, and for us it's very important. And I hope you can share or comment, and I hope you can increase the social influence. Let more people know what we are doing, because people don't know about our network, but we need to increase the influence. I will send you the link of email, and I hope you can leave some messages, share, and invite her to come here. Thank you, and enjoy your meal. And 11 o'clock, we have the other workshop that I will demonstrate.
So our next presenter is Shishiko Ukuma, and she's been administrator of Ocean Policy Research Institute, many things, also research staff of Japan Fisheries Research and Education Agency. So give it up for Shishiko Ukuma.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sachiko Oguma from Ocean Policy Research Institute in Japan. So firstly, I'd like to express my greatest thanks to Dr. Ye. He's not here, but and lots of many staffs in Taiwan and the Ipmen community to make this opportunity to present about our action. So. As a brief introduction, I'm an administrator of the funding project, the Ocean Education Pioneer School Program. So I'm not a teacher and I'm not an educator, but just funding to the school initiatives. So our program is providing budgets for ocean education initiatives from kindergarten to high school in Japan, and creating educational materials for ocean education. As Ms. Katakura will make a presentation next month of mine. So since the school teachers want to teach more detailed knowledge about the ocean, so we also introduce experts of oceanography for their classes. So today in this presentation, I will show how children in the nursery school, like elementary school, kindergarten, in a program, learning various things about the salmon through hand activity, making aramakizake. The shown is a chan salmon. And it's aramakizake is a traditional local food in the Tohoku area. So the salmon themselves have been hard to return due to recent SST, sea surface temperature rising around the Tohoku area, and the northward meander of Kuroshio extension make it difficult to teach traditional food culture like this one. So through such issues, I'd like to discuss what can be done to ensure the Japan's fish cuisine to pass on to the next generation. So as shown here, the Oyashio current from the north, and the Kuroshio current is coming from south, and their branches are flowing around Japan. So the fish are from both subtropical and subarctic region, and each local area has its own unique fish catch. So many kinds of traditional fish dishes, fish cuisines, and preservation methods of local fish have been handed down from generation to generation. So in recent years, however, the sea surface temperature rising have caused these fish to move their habitat to the north. So around in Japan, the SST is rising, so become warmer and warmer. So subarctic fishes go to the poleward, and the Kuroshio fishes around the Kuroshio is coming to the north. So in this situation, so an initiative to pass on the traditional technique of preserving a subarctic chum salmon as a protein source during the winter is being undertaken at the nursery school in Kamaishi City, located in northern Japan. The main subject of this hands-on activity is done to make an attachment to their own city. Also, about she is now holding a salmon doll, which is to feel the heavy weight of the real salmon. So the children learn from local salmon fishermen, as shown in the left side, about where to fish and when to fish at the season or time, more very early morning or night, or what boats and nets they use, and how they catch the salmon using their fixed nets. Next, then the fisherman and the parents in the middle two photos. They will teach them how to fillet the salmon and how to remove the eggs to raise the juvenile, and then shows the structure of the body, salmon's body. So, and finally, the body of the salmon is sprinkled with plenty of salt, many salt, and they are dried to make the winter preservation food, aramaki sake. The salmon are very salty, but they are soaked in sake, rice wine, or water to reduce the salt, then used to cooking. But however, these salmon have really been lost in recent years. So these graphs show the return numbers and the return rate of salmon. So blue lines for Hokkaido, north part of Japan, and yellow for Iwate, and orange for Aomori, and brown for Miyagi. So Hokkaido is large and in northern area, so the return numbers are higher, but it is about half of the maximum of 20 years ago. So on the other hand, in the three areas, three prefectures, Aomori, Iwate, Miyagi, and the return number has decreased even further to less than 1%. So a return rate is also very low, less than 0.05% in the three areas. Although in Hokkaido, it has maintained over 2%. So one of the reasons of this sharp decrease in salmon catch is associated as sea surface temperature rising of Sanriku. Sanriku, it means eastern side of Japan. The left map shows the monthly mean STST distribution in February 2025, 2 months ago now. And the middle shows the deviation from 30 years, SST of February. So usually in February, temperature drops to 5 or 6 degrees. So left side map becomes more blue temperature. So, but it is still green. So over 10 degrees. So this is 3 or 4 degrees above mean SST. So one possible cause of this SST rising is the northward moving of the Kuroshio extension. Do you know the Kuroshio extension? Current. So Kuroshio coming from the south part from Japan, then the east go eastward. So eastward current is called the Kuroshio extension. So as you see in the graph on the right side, so this is Kuroshio extensions coming northward, and it is not a temporary, not temporal phenomenon. As you can see in the graph on the right side, it has been trending northward from since 2015. So over 10 years, it's coming more north to north and warming of of Sanriku. So there was a period when the warm core ring left from the north shifted Kuroshio extension and even affected the offshore area of Hokkaido. So as a result, subtropical fish, so coming from south, and so they are caught of Miyagi Prefecture, so which were only caught when the warm core ring came from the south. So the graph below shows the represented typical subtropical fish, large head hairtail, this one, in tachiuo in Japanese. They are coming from Kuroshio area, then they caught in of Sanriku. So such warm areas, so salmon cannot come from the north or not coming from subarctic region. Then so children, it is very coming hard to learn about the traditional cuisine using salmon. So consider also the connection to the ocean literacy, for example, ocean literacy 4 and 6. So even now, the fish are not extinct, and they have moved to an area where they are comfortable to live. The question is whether it is better to just say they are still alive. So we are alive on Earth because the ocean moderates the climate, but that is becoming difficult now. So if I say, what can we do for our salmon-rich ocean to the children? So they may respond as stop global warming. So it is very hot in summer in Japan, so the children can easily understand now it's very hot, so global warming has to be stopped. But as I show you now, ocean warming is induced not only by global warming and also the Kuroshio extension northward current. So northward meander. So I think we need to understand what causes the SST rising, and then communicate about future fisheries and future culture with the next generation. So this means whether salmon will return off Sanriku when the SST rising will stop or weaken. So there are some reports that it is difficult to teachers to explain to such ecological changes, especially for children in kindergarten. So children can so that children can think about their own. Thank you. So also we would think about adapting our culture to ecological change. So we need to evaluate whether we will pass on fish preservation techniques using other species of fish, or whether we'll change what we pass on. Also, I should be pleased if you could tell me what you are doing about your local cuisine using fish or other materials which are hard to get because of the climate change. Thank you very much for your attention, and congratulations 20th anniversary of Ipmen.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation. So up next, she is Program Officer of UPRI, also Facilitator of AXA, UNESCO Association Teacher Training Program on Education for Disaster Risk Reduction. She formerly worked as a project researcher of the Center for Ocean Literacy and Education. Please welcome Miho Takakura.
Hello everyone, I'm Miho Takakura. I am responsible for supporting schools in Japan about ocean education. I'm very glad to be here today. So, today to secret of the ocean. So what do you think of when you the word secret of the ocean? I'm sure you can think of things I don't know about the ocean and amazing things about the ocean that I can't find out on my own. So the fourth basic plan for oceans states that the government will improve the ocean literacy of the public in order to change human behavior and contribute to the achievement of SDGs 14. However, a nationwide survey by the Nippon Foundation indicates that the public is becoming increasingly shy in terms of water behavior and awareness. We hope it will give people a chance to learn what the ocean is like, what problems are occurring, and to think about what we should be the future. To help in this effort, Institute of Ocean Policy Research of Sasakawa's Foundation is co-sponsoring the Ocean Education Pioneer School Program with Nippon Foundation. This Gakken, one company of Nippon manga company, study manga Secret of the Ocean was published in July 2024. We donated one copy each to elementary school, public libraries, and children's centers nationwide. So, in breaking it, we first sorted out what we wanted readers to know. For a start, there are many things we want them to know, but we don't really know where to start, and we arranged lots of ocean-related matters from the atmosphere to the ocean and horizontally from land to offshore. Then we tried to show any connection among these matters. So in fact, the very same title was published 15 years ago. So 2024. This one of surveyed is by Professor Noriyuki Nasu, a marine geologist and the director of the Ocean Research Institute of the University of Tokyo. Even though they are studying manga with the same ocean theme, they have very different stories. But what they all have in common is that they address the impact of the oceans of humanity and the impact of humans on ocean. The knowledge to understand this in the words is ocean literacy. Also, the term ocean literacy didn't exist in 1974. I think it can be said to have been combined with the purpose of communicating ocean literacy. So what does it mean to understand influence in each other? So let us consider the historical background of the time. The year 1974 was a year in which the world economy suffered from the typical circulation of self-interest and significant economic stagnation. The water pollution law was enacted to prevent water pollution. Or interest in space and also interest in the secondary industry was developed and stagnant. As of 2024, there is a need of shared global values as seen in the SDGs and the UN Ocean Decade of Ocean Science. So Japanese course of study are revised occurs every 10 years. This is partly due to the demands of the times. So to begin with, what is ocean literacy? Already you know very well, and there was a lot of talk about it yesterday. So it's try to skip. Let's compare the form, the perspective of the manga connect. In other words, what you want your child to know. So in the 2024 edition, 50 years later, instead of dependent science, we will show the enemy of the ocean from the familiar place, what is going on in the sea, and what people are doing to the sea. I'd like to draw a picture of the blue carbon, including plastics, mangroves, seals, as well as sport activities for the marine environment, which is the theme of this presentation mentioned earlier. This is reflected in the large number of items in key principle 6. Through the curtain, I hope to convey the idea that among the 7 aspects of the ocean literacy, we should emphasize the link from interest to behavior change from now on. So nowadays, ocean literacy education is being developed around the world. When we compare the rise of manga with the principle of ocean literacy around the world as standard, we have different methods to convey. The matter comprehends to which to other in concept has changed over the years and in different situations. So we can either manage the ocean as one, as everyone together, or we can drive it up and manage in while sharing lights in the resources. So Japan, in its own way, needs to show what it needs to understand the nation that advocated coexisting with the sea in the back, a basic act on ocean policy. It is a country, is it the study guideline? Is it okay for individuals to learn from information available online? So last page, please read the manga to find out what the secret here was. We hope you will enjoy more than just knowing what you don't know. So just a QR code you can download and you can read online about the ocean, secret of the ocean. And the English translation is now available. So I'd like to close by thanking you all of your attention. Thank you so much.
So up next, we have Chunyan Lin. Sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
And Chunyan Lin is a marine education lecturer, project manager, and researcher, specializes in behavioral ecology and cephalopods, aquaculture, technology research, and the promotion of marine science education. He's speaking on the Walking Taiwan's Coastline, an immersive journey to promote ocean literacy and marine conservation. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Junyan Lin. You could call me Nick. And today I'm going to present what our association doing. And interestingly, I'm talking about the Walking Taiwan coastline, but you could see that it's interesting. I just got cut my big tongue when I'm doing the project, the underwater, the diving project last week, and underwater motorcycle and underwater vehicle. When I get up and it just fell and it cut my leg, so it just very hurt. Okay, and later I will introduce the what we are doing, our association doing, and you can see the author is over here. We have not many people. Sorry, not many people actually. This is the whole people we have, and I'm Jian Li. Okay. First of all, actually in Taiwan. What I always said to my students, or when I do the speech, I always said that Taiwan, even is a very small island, but it still combines lots of different multiple coastline. like the sandy bottom from the west side and sandy bottom from the west side or the northeast side. You also even could find some reef in there, and also the south side, and also the east part. You will have like a cliff or cave from the east part. So it has many different kind of the geology. The bottom. So it creates many different kind of the ecosystem. And let me introduce my association. Our association is Taiwan Association for Marine Environmental Education. The short name is TAMI. And TAMI actually in Taiwan is the Taiwanese name. TAMI is what? TAMI is the shoes. It's TAMI. Okay. And actually, our association is already for 18 years. And at the first beginning, you only have 2 people. Until now, it also only have the 4 people right now. And even the student, even the people are the members are very low. But we already did around like 3,000 speech education for different kind of the people, like different not level, different age of the people, like very young age, elementary school, junior high school, even the college, and even the adult. And what we talk is all the things about the Marines. And sometimes we will base on what they want to hear. Like sometimes, for example, some teacher were telling us that, hey Nick, could you give me a talk like next month? And I want to hear about the sea culture. It's about the sea guard. I mean the god. Okay, and we have lots of sea cultures, so I need to prepare that. So we have lots of experience about this, and especially today's important is that I want to show you we already walk around Taiwan coastline for 8 times. I mean, continually walk like 8 times. Do you know how long is the Taiwan around the coastline around Taiwan? It's about 1,500 kilometers. Okay, so actually it's very long. In most of the time, if we continually need to work and we walk, we need to spend like 60 days to 70 days. Then we will finish it. And during 18 years, we already finished like 8 times. Okay, and at the last words is what our association always want to do is the striving to weave harmony between humanity and the ocean, because we are always thinking that not only do the conservation or protect the ocean, and we are human beings, we are one part of the earth, so we also need to use them, but we need to use them wisely, continually. Okay, and this is what we do for the working methodology. Actually, it's very simple, but tough. Hardcore. How to say that? Is because we are not only walking on the road, we walking as much as closest as possible to the ocean, to the sea. Okay, so most of the time, if there is no road, we have the sandy bottom, sand, then we walk on the sand, and we need to run because sometimes the wave will come in, and sometimes we need to climb like this, and sometimes we need to, if there is no road and we have a very small river, we need to find the wood and try to get it, or take off our shoes to go through it. So, and where do we live? Actually, in the country side from in Taiwan, there are not many hotels or resort or Airbnb. So even Airbnb cannot find it. So most of the time, before we do this project, we calling all the elementary school very near to the coastline, and we living camping in the school. So this is what I said is very hardcore. Yes, but actually it's so fun. I hope you also think that. And also every night before we sleep, before we rest, we will combine all the members together and we talk. What we talk is we talk about the story. We talk about the story that next day where we going. And the story combine all the things. Let me this part, but leave this part later. And sometimes if we have the connection with the local people or the local fishery, then we will connect them, ask them to have the speech in the night. Okay. And actually this is what this is my homework. The director asking me that what I need to do, always trying to looking for it, is every time, no matter where I walk or our speaker walk to the coastline, Taiwanese coastline, and we need to understand their geology, ecology, culture, industry, and pollution. Why we setting up this 5 is because when we are walking and talk and introduce to the member, first of all, we were talking about the rock, where is the rock, how it become like this, or the sandy bottom, how to work on it, and actually after the geology, and later is what is the creature, the sea creature living there. So it's the ecology. And because we talk about the human, so the human should over there, I mean the local people there, we teach, we tell in the member that the local people, how they survive at the very, very early century until now, like how they catching the fish and even taking them to try it. And after the local people or the local village getting bigger and bigger, then you will have the industry. Like you can think about is that they are making the money. Like the sandy muddy bottom, they will have the oyster aquaculture industry. Or like this is the salt farm. Okay, this industry actually right now is not that many, but right now, but at the past, it has many and many. And industry brings, because it's too many, so it will bring the pollution. Okay? So at the final, we always introduce the pollution in Taiwan. Like this river from Taoyuan, this river is totally black. Okay. And it smells like some kind of fruit juice, but it didn't taste sweet. Sorry, I tasted a little bit, and it didn't taste sweet. Okay, so that is the very good education. Okay, and what the impact and the outcome, what's bring back is the result, and actually it's publishing. We already published some movie and video, and even we have the podcast. Okay, we call it 就嗨. Sorry, it's in Chinese, and probably in the future we're trying to do some different language. And we drink a lot and getting very chill and talk about the marine. Okay, and talk about the experience that we have, like the very stupid things when when we are walking on the coastline or something. Okay, and actually we had more connect with the fishing village, the local people. So we were helping them to, like, what I'm doing is helping them, like this area could be a very good diving spot. So after we go through them for many times, we are going to get more understandable about themselves, about them. So they are asking us to help them to do this, like trying to investigate where is the best going underwater. Okay, like a tour, like an entertainment, help them to make the entertainment tour. And also for the deep ocean tour, like taking people to the snorkeling or diving. And also what we are doing right now more and more is about the citizen scientific program, because we used to do that before. Okay, so at the last, actually right now we had a lot of challenge, because for the first of all, of course, I think all the association facing this kind of the problem is the money. Okay, so always taking off the money, and we always trying to have writing down or publish more projects to get more resource, but it's always not enough. It's just like the money. And also the previous speaker said it's about the unpredictable weather, because most of the time, if we set up a project or working on the coastline, it's really hard to predict the weather. Okay, sometimes we even need to cut it. And the lesson what we learned is we need to get more and more people to connect together. Is because we could help each other. Okay, so the next step actually we are going to do is from the association to the foundation, because foundation could keep some money and we could hire more people and to let them to get it big, let us to get it big. And so today's conclusion and call to action is walking the coastline, build hard to see connection. Actually, we take the people walking on the coastline, even those members are at the first beginning, they don't know anything about the sea, but after they're going, they will see more, because the walking is very slow, step by step, like we learn it step by step. Okay. And the next is what we I'm so happy that actually this is our association. The first time we attend this kind of the conference, the international conference, and we are looking for replicate this immersive walking mode around the world. So if anyone has this kind of the interest in your country, try to connect us. Okay. And sorry, at the final, this is our members. Right now, what I say, only we have 4 is unfortunately we are our secretary, our key man actually, Secretary General Guo Zhaowei. Mr. Guo Zhaowei, 2 years ago, he had the water accident and just passed. So same for all the members, same for all the friends I have. And thank you.
Thank you, Nick. And hopefully we can all walk in harmony. As Nick, just be careful to not stub your tongue. And so up next we have Ting Yu Hao, research assistant for the Center for Marine Policy and Cultural Studies, National Academy of Marine Research, specializes in questionnaire design, quantitative statistics, and ocean literacy, assistant researcher, National Academy of Marine Research. That's a lot. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tina. I'm work as National Academy of Marine Research. I'm the member, a college of Ray, but he's going to another workshop. Today, it's a pleasure to be here to share some findings from the project I'm conduct next year. The title is a survey of the relationship between the human and the ocean. And maybe that will be the main topic on this conference. But I focus on the Taiwanese think depends on their feel about these ocean related issues because I want to develop the policies in the future. So this research explores not just what people think about the ocean, but also how the people, their background knowledge, attitude, and experience with the ocean influence their value on ocean-related issue. So I hope to highlight how these factors shape public understanding and connection with the ocean, and a little hope. I want to share some findings. It may be meaningful not just for Taiwan, but maybe for others as well. This research has 3 parts. First one is introduction, the second is methodology, and finally I will make some results and recommendations. This is Kaohsiung. Maybe everyone, if I have enough time, you can have some travel. Taiwan, we all know, is surrounded by the ocean, but however, due to its geographical location, we all know that we have focused on landline development for a long time, and at the same time, the economic growth has driven rapid urbanization. As a result, most of Taiwanese has become disconnected with the ocean, and then they don't fully understand what's happening to this, and they don't pay much attention to care about what's happening now. So our government, Taiwan government, try to help the people cross to the ocean. So they make the national goal of being maritime nation, and develop a series of strategies to guide people toward this vision step by step. And above all, most of the important goal is encourage the people to be the marine citizen. Most of the presentation has focused on seasons ocean project, and that's why I want to focus on marine systems, because in the literature, marine system has 3 main qualities: responsibility and active participation, and able to do some crucial decision. So if we want to make more people to be the marine citizens, the first step is to understand what they think and how they feel and why they do. So this research have 2 objectives. The first one is create a survey, and we want to know the public attitude and the why can make these factors unless? And the second is attitude analysis. We examine the public toward marine-related issue to better understand how people receive government efforts. That's our background. The second, I will introduce the methodology of this project. Oh, this ship, I'm not sure. Maybe when you come to the Zhongshan University, you will see the shuttle ship from Zhongshan. This is the mountain and another Kaohsiung port. Maybe if you live here you can to take a look. This is my research framework. It includes 3 different types of variables. The first one is independent variable, includes age group, education level, gender, and location. And the other is the ocean literacy, is dependent variable. According to the literature, I identify the author of ocean literature has 4 factors, including awareness, attitude, marine citizenship, and knowledge. I must to say, because this research is gather the response from telephone interview, so we can use difficult questions to ask people. So the higher level education of ocean literacy can be used in this framework. So I just focus on 4 factors. And because we believe the experience with the ocean as the mediation variables, so we put the for example, people's background knowledge, or they're working about the ocean, or they may be active to cross to the ocean. They may be influence their value on the ocean-related issue. The next one. So I want to introduce, we developed the National Ocean Literacy Survey in Taiwan. Because we base the core definition of literacy. The first one is what is the function of the Taiwan? The second one is how do human activity impact the ocean? And we combine to analyze all the ocean-related issue through the public opinion motivation system to gather the public opinion from this system. So now the same yesterday the Ray said, not Ray, the Ocean University, they also developed the National Ocean Literacy Survey. I'm not sure have you heard yesterday, but this search is a little different. We combine these 2 parts to develop our initial survey. And unfortunately, in my opinion, and I test my cousin, all of my cousin. They tell me, oh, you need to try more difficult knowledge about the ocean. But when later I choose interview take the phone interview to the public, oh no, most of the people cut down my phone. They don't want to answer me because they need to thinking a long time. So our group to change the questions and to make the clear and a little simple and not to think too much the questions and shorten the question time about 10 minutes. If we longer, okay. So finally, we have had 2 revisions, and finally we got the formal testing about 2,083 samples. Yeah. I will be quickly to represent. Yeah, we take the 2-step telephone interview design and get the different samples from this research survey. And we use the statistic methods to assess the representatives of these samples. And we make sure these value inferences can be show the overpopulation. The final results, we have 3 results. The first one will be, we find that high public willing to protect the ocean, but low interest in marine knowledge. Yeah, everyone likes to, I agree the government policies. I love you do more, but if you want to teach them some ocean knowledge, or you need them to do more, they will be, I have no time. Yeah, that's why we discuss. Yeah, and the second, 60% of respondents show concern the marine health. It's very awesome, but the same people feel this is very important. They feel they have responsibility. They think a Marine Conservation Act is a good policy, and feel government need to do more, right? And concern the ocean health, and we can approve and we support the sustained tourism. But I'm sorry, but I want to say, in reality, people often stop at saying they support their cause, but they don't actually take the next step. Yeah, that's why we unable to do. Yeah, that's why we are here, right? Yeah. So I want to offer 2 recommendations. The first one, because the public the interest is about their local community. So if our communication, our policies, our curriculum, or some workshop is linked their personal interest, maybe improve the public engage the activity. And another one is because we know the low airways. Sorry, I take the wrong of marine policies. So we should link the policies through connect their daily behavior change. Then, so if we, because time is up, so if later you have any question, feel free to be back to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ting Yu. Keep hammering that policy button and bring up that cultural awareness. So I was at 10%, and keep up that. The policy is the key to tear down those walls. So up next we have is Nate. Is a video, right? Yeah, it's a video. Is Nate Laoa? Hopefully I pronounced that right. Director from Lavasa Pathways, American Samoas. And Nate Loa is dedicated to advocate for American Samoa's fisheries and ocean resources. As co-founder and director of Lavasa Pathways, is focused on creating sustainable pathways for the communities of American Samoa. So here's a presentation on traditional ecological knowledge in American Samoa, and also Nate will be joining us on Zoom for the questionnaire period.
Talofa lava. In this presentation, we'll look at the deep-rooted connection between the Samoan people, their Tumai Faleanu'u, or traditional ecological knowledge, and the environmental challenges they face today. American Samoa is a U.S. territory located in the South Pacific, forming part of the Samoa territory contains islands, with Tutuila being the largest and most populous. The indigenous people have inhabited these islands for thousands of years. Central to their way of life is the Fa'asamoa, or the Samoan way, which emphasizes the preservation of traditional social structures and customs and a deeply rooted relationship with the land and sea. For thousands of years, fishery and marine resources have been essential for the diet and cultural practices of American Samoans. In the absence of extensive catch data, interviews with elder fishermen have provided valuable insights into long-term changes in the resources. Samoan culture has sustainably relied on nearshore resources such as fish, coral worms, octopus, and giant clams as food staples. This reliance on the ocean has been a driving factor for the Samoan way of life. A core tenet of traditional Samoan culture is a deep respect for the natural environment. Traditional ocean harvesting practices utilized by fishermen in the villages are guided by established customs. These practices prioritize cultural exchange and community sharing over profit and commercial sale. This reflects a sustainable approach to resource management. The Western Pacific Regional Fishery Management Council has worked hand in hand with both the local government and the communities in American Samoa to incorporate local fishermen's observations into fishery management decisions. American Samoa's resources are highly vulnerable to climate change impacts, especially sea level rise and coral bleaching due to warmer ocean temperatures. Sea level rise in this region is expected to happen much faster than the global average, likely resulting in the loss of coastal land and saltwater contamination of freshwater sources. Warmer temperatures, coupled with saltwater intrusion and variable rainfall, can increase the demand for fresh water and threaten food security. Traditional knowledge of weather patterns and environmental indicators can offer valuable insights for adapting to these climate changes, with correlations observed between traditional and scientific weather monitoring methods. This indigenous knowledge can contribute significantly to local adaptation strategies. American Samoa's future is deeply intertwined with the rich interplay of traditional knowledge, a profound ecological understanding honed over generations, and vibrant cultural practices rooted in the Fa'asamoa. Addressing the complex environmental challenges we face requires continued commitment to collaboration, bringing together the valuable insights of traditional wisdom with the power of scientific innovation. Ultimately, the preservation of the Fa'asamoa and its intrinsic connection to the land and the sea is not just a cultural imperative, but an essential foundation for the future resilience and well-being of American Samoa. I hope this presentation has provided valuable insights into the rich traditional and ecological knowledge of American Samoa, as well as its critical role in navigating the challenges of a changing world. American Samoa possesses a wealth of traditional ecological knowledge deeply connected to its marine resources and the Fa'asamoa, which has sustained the community for thousands of years. Addressing modern challenges like climate change necessitates collaboration, respecting both the traditional wisdom and scientific knowledge to ensure the future resilience of the Samoan people. Fa'afitai tele lapa.
Can it be connected to overfishing of salmon or the fisheries regulated? Sorry, maybe you mentioned this, but I missed it. Yeah, thank you.
very much for your question. Overfishing is also the problem, but the salmon, especially the salmon, as a so water temperature warming is the most important problem because their favorite temperature is strict, so 5 or 10 degrees, so very narrow and cold. But around Japan, so now it's grow up over 15 or 20 in autumn when the summer is coming back to the Japan, so they cannot come back to the Japan River, so they cannot raise their egg in the river. So before overfishing, they cannot raise their next generation, and that's a most important problem for some. Is that question? Is that answer?
Thank you. Thank you.
It's okay. Okay. Well, I want to in Chinese translate. Thank you. 我是想要请教一下那个就是国海员的那个对，然后也想听听其他大家的意见，就是因为我在简报里面有看到，就是说其实现在就是3000多份还是2000多份的问卷里面，很多人其实他们都有行动参与的意愿，可是其实他们对于国家政策或者对海洋的这些很多相关的人不是很了解，对，因为我看只有10%而已。那你怎么看这件事情？然后你觉得可以怎么样串联起这样？就像刚刚早上我们其实看到很多所谓的学习伙伴关系啊这些的，那我想再多听听大家的想法，谢谢。
She want X also other partners. She said in the question in the PPT of her PowerPoint, her saw the about 3,000 application, but not she wants X other also want her other option. And she say, how do you think? Because they agree your comment about the want to join your activity, but they don't know the policy of the government. So how do you think this?
Because I work for the government, ocean concern, I forget the government, yeah. Because so we need to make the interview to understand what the public, the attitude and their knowledge background now. And when we finish the analysis, we will have the data to my government to do some more pushment or some activity to tell the policy makers to choose what they want to do is good for the public. Maybe we can connect with the environment education or some other institute, because we do the policy data analysis, and later we will base on this data to do some more actions. Yeah, we have the cooperation with each other. Yeah.
We have Nate on online now from American Samoa. If you have any questions for him, that'd be great. Everybody wave to Nate. Welcome, Nate. Any more questions for the panel? Don't be shy. Yes.
One question to Oguman Sensei is because at the last slide you had said about the Japanese cuisine is there is any possibility to change the fish. We already know the Japanese food have used many kind of fishes. For example, the unagi, the eel, yeah, and because the unagi is getting decreased in recent years, so we know that in like in America or in Taiwan, the sushi that have changed the unagi into anako, from eel to moray eel. So do you think it is possible if in Japan they start to fishing the salmon and they maybe use the import salmon from North Europe? Is it possible to keep your tradition and also you can try to keep the environment good? And also I have one other question to Takakura Sensei. And because yesterday and today I have seen two presenters talking about the Japanese education, marine education in school. I am an interpreter working in the aquarium. Do you think because Japan already have so many aquariums, the aquarium have an educational function to social education and also can also help to the school education? These are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the valuable question. So, for the first question, that means my understanding is so do Japanese can change the fish species for our fish cuisine? Yeah. So it is very hard to think about, especially for sushi, so using raw fish, because some fish is not good for raw eating. So so all kinds of things of fish can be used to be, instead of present cuisine. But so we Japanese are trying to raise fishes as aquaculture, using aquaculture to increase to support decreasing the fish catches. So in my presentation, the salmon is now sharply decreasing in these 10 years. So for many schools, in Japan, still using salmon to teach or making attachment to their own city. So because salmon is very familiar to them, especially for the city persons. But so change the fish species is not easy for them. So that is a very difficult problem for adjust to the climate change.
Thank you so much for your question. And now I'm so sorry, I can't find out correct answer. So Rita, I will find the details, information in my mail. So Rita, I will yes, I'll reply. Thank you.
I don't have a question for Nate, but I would like to acknowledge that your contribution to this conference, and I'm aware of how difficult for a lot of us it is to travel these long distances. And I think the sort of contribution you made today was incredibly valuable and a good model for how we can all connect and communicate without that extra hassle of traveling for such a long way. So I think we all appreciate your contribution today. Thank you.
And yes. And
welcome the opportunity. It was an honor to be able to present some of our local American Samoan traditional ecological knowledge and how it is being utilized to kind of fill in some of the gaps with shortcomings with data collection with the federal government. So it's kind of that bridging the gap of traditional and new modern scientific methods. So I'm very happy to be here. Sorry, I'm thousands of miles away, but thankfully technology has allowed us to kind of bridge that gap as well. Thanks.
I've got a question for you, Nate. Being as far out as you are as American Samoa, I understand you guys have more rights in your fisheries compared to other American tribes, and how's that helping your partnerships too in ocean science and in practicing your traditional ecological knowledge?
No, that's a great question, and I would say it is actually we have the benefit of our unique relationship with the United States. Our territory, we have a document called the Deeds of Cession, and so this was signed in 1900, and it's agreement between the U.S. and American Samoa, where the U.S. takes care of, protects us and looks after our oceans, but we are able to maintain our ownership of our land and thus the ability to perpetuate our Samoan culture. There are difficulties though, however, because of that agreement, we are unincorporated and unorganized, and so we are not allowed to vote in United States elections. Our delegate to the U.S. Congress sits on committees but does not have a vote. So it's a two-edged sword. But I think that overall, our ability to be able to kind of dictate where we want the U.S. intervention has been mostly a positive, but there have been issues that have popped up. Our government has sued the U.S. government over a battle over where large vessels are allowed to come in and fish into territorial waters, and there was community was very much split on that issue. But yeah, I guess overall there are benefits as well as challenges to this unique relationship with the United States. I hope that answers your question, Oren.
Yes, thank you. And I'm also curious of the challenges you have with climate change.
Yes, like all the other Pacific Islands, climate change is at the forefront of a lot of the work that local agencies as well as federal ones are trying to get done. I think there are new challenges with the new administration that's in charge in the United States now. It seems as though climate change isn't really a priority, unfortunately. And so a lot of work that was being done or being planned has been put on the back burner for now. Unfortunately, the effects of climate change aren't as kind as to wait, like U.S. policy. So there are parts of our island which are definitely struggling, especially with the effects of sea level rise and coral bleaching due to rising ocean temperatures. But I think the big question now is what type of funding will be available for us to continue some of these initiatives. our local government doesn't have much in the way of local funds to support some of the science. One of the challenges is that we rely so heavily on U.S. federal funding to conduct a lot of the work that we do in the resource management field. And now that climate change isn't really a priority for the Trump administration, that might be very difficult to get done in the next 4 years. So we'll stay hopeful and see what happens.
Thank you, Nate. I believe we've come to the end of our questionnaire. It's lunchtime, so let's eat. Thanks, buddy. We get to connect someday, and